A lot of us have had to learn how to set boundaries and put our feelings first, which means having to teach ourselves how to put aside the feelings of others. So a lot of us can get very defensive and aggressive when we feel someone is about to cross that boundary. That's okay. That's necessary. Of course things would be that way. But when you're ready, there's a stage beyond that you can grow into. Being firm in our boundaries is fantastic. However, there is a way to be firm and still discuss those boundaries with people who do actually care about us. There's a way to be firm without being aggressive. This is not for people who still see the best in everyone and welcome the crossing of boundaries if it means being able to understand and provide for someone you love. This is for people who've gotten maybe too comfortable with getting triggered and immediately cutting people off without really asking themselves if that was helpful to them for the sake of keeping their peace. Sometimes we can get so defensive and protective over our own boundaries and our peace that we shut out people who granted us much more peace than they disrupted it. We have to define for ourselves what it really means for someone to disrupt our peace. For me, it is someone who constantly does harmful, careless things and claims to want growth without any real intention or change, who takes more than they give and desires for my effort to come easy to them. For me, it's not just someone who triggers me and makes me angry all the time, because I have to do the work for myself in order to see if that anger is truly being caused by them or if it's something in me I want to give them responsibility for. If they claim to care when they are hurting me, but only actually care more about how things impact them, then they are not working towards both of our peace. They are only working towards theirs, which means allowing themselves to work for their peace against mine. I have to ask myself, am I being triggered because this is actually wrong to do in my eyes from my set of values, or am I being triggered because it's attacking something I only know how to protect by keeping others away from it? So how do we stay firm in our boundaries with someone we feel is about to cross them, but someone that truly does care enough to do the work even if they are hesitant and conflicted at first? 1, we have to acknowledge that people are human. They're messy. Feelings are messy. It's not going to be most people's instinct to accept all that you have to give them with a smile even when it hurts them. With people who truly love and trust you, they want to be able to be honest with you about their feelings too. Most people need to grow just like you. So while a small bit of pushback or conflict or denial may happen instinctively for them, pay attention to how they behave next. Try not to allow this to control your response. This is especially hard because when we are just learning to set boundaries, any mention of them can feel like an attack, because the boundaries still feel weak. We have to make up for the weakness in the foundation of those boundaries by using our own aggression. But listen to them. Is something in them hurting in response to this boundary? Are they then still actively engaging with you about it so you can both understand each other? Or did you just shut them out because of those who didn't care anything about your boundaries before? Did you allow them to cross your hidden boundaries without speaking up so it could all build up as they continue to do it? Again, this only goes for those people who grant you more peace than they do needless and trauma-filled conflict. Did you get protective over the boundary and put all the responsibility on them to stay away from it without taking any responsibility to reflect on if that boundary is actually helpful to you and not just harmful to everyone, including you? That's 2. Some of us keep certain boundaries up in an attempt to avoid what's necessary. We allow those boundaries to keep us stuck. We have to ensure these boundaries are coming from more than a fear, but from a clear, safe knowing about ourselves. Boundaries aren't just to protect us from dealing with scary things. If they were, we'd avoid everything that's bad and good for us. Our boundaries have to run deeper than that. 3 is to communicate clearly and directly. When other people's feelings are involved, we think we have to baby them with our tone of voice, or we think we have to get louder and bolder. All we have to do is speak truthfully with the intention to really listen. It's hard to respond with genuine truth and be heard if you won't allow yourself to hear them, even if they are wrong in what they say. In my life, I've noticed my speaking firmly gets an intense reaction from people because I'm often so sweet and I sugarcoat and talk around things or keep them to myself. But when I'm not blowing up on people or rubbing their backs as I say what I mean, people have attributed to me having an attitude, me being disrespectful, me being aggressive, when really they aren't comfortable with that level of security in me. It literally will make some people blow up on me suddenly or make some people stop talking to me at all, simply because I'm speaking intensely with care for myself and love for our relationship. I had to realize that tone makes people feel small when they're insecure, and they don't know how to deal with it, especially from me who's known to make people feel safe. State what you're not okay with. Tell them why if they're listening. If they decide to continue after some time treating you like an outsider, like you're the problem or refuse to acknowledge that they are playing a role in your unhappiness, you then know that this is a person that should leave your life. All you have to know is that you stayed ready to communicate because you care, and they chose not to. But some people do. The conversation may be heavy and intense, but the care will ooze from it if both parties really care for each other. Finally, don't depend on the pride in your pain. Don't depend on the pride in your pain. Whether you and that person were able to move forward together or separately, you have to allow your pain to heal. This doesn't mean to rush your healing at all, but it does mean you can't feed into resentment. Resentment causes you to act out on painful feelings, and there's a difference between acting on resentment and honoring your hurt. People may be angry at you honoring your hurt because it makes them feel responsible. Let them be. Don't submit your feelings for them. If they decide not to reflect on that work for themselves and communicate with honesty, then you already know what the deal is. Honor your feelings and take time to see beyond them. That way healing can take as long as it needs to, but the people who love you will still receive your love and you'll be able to really give it. Thank you so much for listening. It is always a good time talking to you. Share with your loved ones and share your thoughts with me. See you next time.